It will be my pleasure to introduce our NNSA speaker. Unfortunately, no one could be here in person, but we do have a recorded presentation from Stephanie. If you were here last year, you probably remember her standing up here giving her fourth year presentation. So Stephanie is our NNSA welcome speaker. Last year, she was here giving her LRGF outgoing talk. And now she is working at NNSA as a fellow in the Office of Strategic Partnership Programs, and she will continue to be involved in the programs. So we're lucky to have her as an advocate at headquarters. So I guess she's kind of gone from fellow to fed, and will remain engaged on that level, so that's a great thing for us. And so with that, I will play her welcome.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the SSGF and LRGF annual program review. My name is Stephanie Miller, and I currently am working with the Chief Science and Technology Office here at NNSA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Last year, at this time when I was attending this conference, it was to present my final work as an exiting LRGF student, and it's an honor to be back here with you all 1 year later, working with the NNSA. I'd like to start off by issuing a big congratulations to our new fellows coming in and joining the program, as well as to our current fellows who are continuing on with their time in the program. It's an exciting opportunity, an exciting program to be a part of, and I look forward to seeing all of the great work that you all have been up to over the past year. So when you leave this presentation, what I'm hoping you'll be able to take away from this is who are the NNSA leaders, where do the SSGF and LRGF fit within the NNSA organizational structure, where are there opportunities for employment within the NNSA, and what are we up to here at HQ? So who is in DOE and NNSA leadership? I also like to refer to this as who are my current bosses slide. So starting out with Secretary of Energy, Secretary Granholm at the top of our leadership, and then Administrator Ruby, who is the Undersecretary. She is the NNSA Administrator. And then Dr. Marv Adams is the Deputy Administrator of Defense Programs within the NNSA. And then within Defense Programs sits my boss, Dr. Kevin Greeno, who is the Chief Scientist and Technology Officer. So before I started with the NNSA here in DC, something that I don't think really sunk in to me was just how many people within the NNSA leadership structure have technical backgrounds, have STEM degrees, whose backgrounds look very similar to mine, and I'm sure very similar to a lot of yours in the room. So I thought I'd just take a chance and an opportunity to kind of introduce some of our leaders and show you what their backgrounds look like, so you can kind of maybe see yourself in these roles one day. So Jill Ruby, Administrator Ruby, she was a former lab director of Sandia National Labs. She was the first female lab director. There's even a fellowship named in her honor at Sandia, some of you might have heard of. She has a bachelor's degree from Purdue and a master's from UC Berkeley. Both of her degrees are in mechanical engineering. Next, we have Dr. Marv Adams. He used to be a physicist at Livermore before he came to the NNSA. He was a professor of nuclear engineering at Texas A&M. He has his PhD and master's from the University of Michigan in nuclear engineering. Have to throw a shout out to my alma mater, Go Blue. And he has his bachelor's in nuclear engineering from Mississippi State University. Also, I would love to take a chance to direct you all to YouTube. At the NIF Ignition Breakthrough Brief, Dr. Adams actually went viral. He was number 4 on YouTube trending for a very wholesome video of him explaining fusion ignition that I would like to direct you all to go take a watch. It was a very wholesome day in the office when he was trending. It was very adorable. And then my boss, Dr. Kevin Greeno, who is the Chief Scientist and Technology Officer. He used to work at Lannel as a scientist and engineer, and he's an adjunct professor at Howard University. He has a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Mercer, 2 masters in nuclear engineering and public policy from the University of New Mexico, and he was the first African American to get a PhD in nuclear engineering from the University of Maryland. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that, the people that are in these roles have very similar backgrounds to y'all in the room, and it definitely was a very inspiring thing for me to learn about and for me to see. It's it was something that I didn't fully appreciate until I was immersed here at headquarters. So I'm going to try, shockingly to those of you who have probably sat in on some briefs like this in the past, to get through this entire presentation without a single org chart. However, you are going to have to bear with me through some pie charts. So the NNSA, I think the best way to kind of get an overview of what goes on at the NNSA as a whole is through the budget to see where the dollars go. So you can see here we have the biggest chunk is in weapons activity. We do some defense nuclear non-proliferation, some naval reactors, and some very important Fed salaries. Within weapons activity, we're going to kind of track this navy blue square throughout. Within weapons activity sits stockpile research, technology and engineering, stockpile management, production modernization, infrastructure operations, secure transportation, defense nuclear security, IT, and cybersecurity. And where we sit within the stockpile research, technology, and engineering is in these slivers. So within this stockpile research, technology, and engineering, we have science, engineering, ICF, advanced simulation and computing, technology and manufacturing, maturation, and then way at the bottom, there we are in academic programs. And then the SSGF and LRGF sit within that program. So you can kind of track and see these chunks getting smaller and smaller, but academic programs doesn't disappear completely. So I like to think that the budget is still very big and very important. You can kind of see where you sit within this infrastructure, right? You can kind of see where we get the funding to fund programs like this and kind of where your research is impactful. So where does all of this work happen? When we think about those pie charts that I showed of where all of those budget dollars get spent, it's not just at the national labs. I think when I first started with the NNSA, I was really only aware of, the big labs in my mind were Los Alamos and Sandia and Livermore, but there's a lot of opportunity kind of spread geographically throughout the country. So if you're interested in kind of branching out geographically, there's some other opportunities. There's headquarters where I'm at in DC. There's Savannah River in South Carolina, Y12 in Tennessee, Kansas City in Kansas City, Pantex in Amarillo, Texas, Sandia in Albuquerque, and in California, Los Alamos in New Mexico, up in Los Alamos, and then there's Lawrence Livermore out in California, as well as the Nevada site, kind of near Las Vegas. But this just goes to show you kind of how spread out the complex is. There's a lot of really exciting work and a lot of exciting opportunities that kind of go beyond where, at least where I typically thought the work and the research was happening. So if you're kind of looking to explore the NNSA as a whole, there's a lot of really cool opportunities at all of these locations that I think are all aggressively and actively hiring. So what kind of work do we do with the NNSA? So this is, I pulled this from the strategic vision from the NNSA. So you can kind of see that we work in nuclear stockpile, global security and stability, naval nuclear propulsion, and emerging challenges. But then these mission enablers that really are some of the most important things towards achieving our mission priorities are world-class science, technology, and engineering. I think that's kind of where a lot of us fit into. Adaptive workforce as well, looking at resilient infrastructure and integrated enterprise management and operations. So this is kind of, these categories are, I guess, the bulk of the work that we do, right? All of the research that we do fits in this science technology, as well as into infrastructure and management and operations. So this is kind of across the whole complex. These are the big buckets of work that are going on. So you can kind of see it's not necessarily just the research, right? It's also infrastructure, it's also operations. These facilities are very large. They require a lot of work to keep them running smoothly. So what do we do here in academic programs at headquarters? A big one that I've been spending a good amount of time in the last few weeks on our budget justifications. So being able to say, hey, look at all of this work that we do, all of these students that are really impacting our mission, all of these students that will contribute to workforce development down the line, things like that, and being able to say, keep giving us the money to do that, we're doing it well, give us more money to hire more students and things like that. Current program maintenance, so program reviews and just kind of getting contracts handled and things like that, making sure the programs that we do have, we have SSGF and LRGF as well as a bunch of other academic programs that sit under our umbrella here. And then new program planning and execution. So there's a few programs that are under development right now that we're working on getting established and off the ground. Some of them already have budget lines. Some of them are even more further conceptually, further down the line, things that we're planning even for the future. So kind of moving into the next bullet here for strategy for future programs, right? So what new types of academic programs do we need? Where do we see student need? Where do we see workforce need? Where do we see research need? Kind of consulting in a bunch of experts in all of these fields and trying to set priorities and strategies of how we're going to train and fund and develop a workforce to be able to solve these challenges and these work on these really exciting problems that we have coming ahead of us. So yeah, and then kind of workforce development and mission needs. So people can say, we need more of this type of scientist, or we're having a hard time filling these roles at the labs. And we can work to really recruit top tier talent like yourselves into programs like this. I know the LRGF is one of the newer fellowships in academic programs, and it was designed for this reason, right? We needed more people in the national labs, and so there was a fellowship designed to integrate students closely into the national lab space. So we're working on programs like this all the time. And then I have a ... because a lot of other stuff comes up. We do a lot more. These are just kind of the big lifts that we've been working on right now. So in closing, I'll put back up our strategic vision and our mission needs and just say, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and email me. I'm sure Shelly or some of the people with Krell would be happy to provide you with my current email address. And I would just also like to take a minute to encourage you all to take this time, to take the time shared with your fellow fellows at this program review, to really get to know each other, enjoy your time. I know that if I were sitting in this room, I'm sure if I looked out in the audience, I would see a bunch of friendly and familiar faces. This is a great opportunity to really network in and get to know the future leaders, get to know scientists and engineers and all types of people that you will continue to know and meet and interact with throughout your continued career in the field. We're very happy to have you and would be very happy to keep you in the NNSA complex. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I guess with that, I'll say have a great rest of your time in San Francisco. I'm jealous. I wish I was there with you all, and I very much look forward to being with you all next year in person. So have a great rest of your conference. Thank you for your time.